Manx Radio's Update with Beth Espy.
Faster My, good evening. How are you? It's Thursday the 15th of August. It's just gone 5 p.m. and over the next half hour we'll be taking you through some of the... I don't know what that means. Coming up, it's A-level results day. How have Manx students fared? How do our grades compare with the UK? And what are the options if you didn't get the marks you were hoping for? Also tonight, how does the future look for the Manx Grand Prix? And Media Isle of Man responds to concerns about courier distribution. All that, plus we'll keep an eye if there's anything on the roads to look out for on your way home. And as ever, any thoughts, comments or questions from you, 166 177, or you can email studio@manxradio.com. First, let's join Christian for the news headlines.
Provisional A-level results show students achieved an overall pass rate of 98%, with almost half receiving an A-star to B grade. The Department of Education, Sport and Culture says early indications show around two-thirds of the 400 students have applied for a university course at either UCM or abroad. A former co-op boss has been fined £2,100 after defrauding another retail outlet. Andrew Ian Courier of Lakeside Road changed the labels on goods and returned a number of worn items at Marks & Spencer. And the Manx Motorcycle Clubs put forward a new strategy aiming to secure the future of the Manx Grand Prix for at least the next 5 years. It comes ahead of this year's event, which gets underway on Sunday. In international news now, and a 15-year-old boy has become the first person to face the more serious charge of riot linked to recent scenes across England and Northern Ireland. A conviction carries up to 10 years in jail. At least one person's been arrested over the death of Matthew Perry. The Friends star drowned in his hot tub last October from a ketamine overdose. And breakdancer Rachel Gunn says the abuse she suffered for her routine in the Paris Olympics has been devastating. The Australian's been heavily criticised after failing to score a single point. Those are the update news headlines, next at 6.
Thanks very much, Christian. Now the weather brought to us by Manx Glass and Glazing. So a much better end of the day than it was this morning, and it is going to be dry for the rest of today. Bright or sunny intervals soon developing. A moderate northwest breeze will back to the west or southwest, and it's going to fall light this evening. So minimum overnight temperatures will be around 10 Celsius. And then tomorrow, a fine dry day. Lengthy spells of sunshine, so that's going to be good for that St Mark Cavendish lap. But it will turn slightly cloudier in the evening. The light west wind will back to the southwest and freshen, and temperatures will be around 19 Celsius tomorrow afternoon. And good news again for Saturday, generally dry with bright or sunny intervals. Sunset this evening will be at 8:47. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 5:58.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
Many people are struggling. You could help them with a donation to Isle of Man Food Bank, whether food or other essential items or financial support. Please call 646 999. Brought to you by Descon Office Interiors.
Relax at Wicked Soy Candles overlooking Douglas Bay. Our candle and wax melt courses includes refreshments from £40 per person, and you can bring your own drinkies. Wicked Soy Candles, Tower House Douglas, where relaxation and creativity come together.
For a wide range of wood-burning stoves and a complete installation service, visit The Snug in Ramsey. And we don't stop there. Kiln-dried firewood and full aftercare service, including chimney sweeps and maintenance. Call The Snug in Ramsey.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Beldorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company. Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
Just about 4.5 minutes past 5. Well, as we've just been hearing from Christian, hundreds of teenagers across the Isle of Man have received their A-level results today, and provisional results given to us by the Department of Education show an overall pass rate of 98%, and that figure relates to grades A star to E. Well, Simon Richardson joins me now in the studio, and we're going to look at these figures in more detail. So, Simon, how do those figures look for the higher grades, first of all?
Well, Beth, whereas A star to E grades are considered as passes, it's really only the A star to C that are relevant in respect of most university courses. Now, the pass rate for A star to B grade stood at 48% and the A star to C at 76%. Overall, the figures are very similar to last year when the overall pass rate, A star to E, was 97%. That's just a percentage point lower. The A star to B figure was stronger this year at 48%, 7% up on 2023.
So from the 400 students who got their results today, Simon, do we know how many are expected to go to university?
Well, according to the department, early indications show around 2/3 of the students have applied for a university course. That's either at UCM or further afield, with around 30% of 18-year-old school leavers planning to enter the workforce.
And I think it's really important to note that for those students who maybe haven't got exactly what they hoped for, all isn't lost.
Absolutely not, Beth. Many will be able to enter clearing in the hope of finding alternative options. Also, students will be able to take advantage of drop-in sessions with qualified career advisors throughout the summer holidays and be given advice before taking the next step. Clearly, though, as the Minister Daphne Kane said earlier, they should be able to find a path that suits their interests and their aspirations.
And finally, do we know how our figures compare with the UK?
That's always a tricky one to calibrate, as no direct comparison is provided in how the results are presented. For the record, though, the results in England, Wales and Northern Ireland all improved overall this year, though there were significant regional variations, particularly between North and South.
Simon, thank you very much. Well, Ramsey Grammar School says it's seen a small rise in the number of A star to C grades among this year's A-level results. And for the head teacher, Sonia Taylor, it's her first results day on the Isle of Man, having joined the school in September last year. She and head of sixth form Stuart Curran told Chanel that they're proud of their students' achievements.
It's a marginal increase. Obviously, we were expecting something a bit more closer to, the post-COVID kind of results, but actually across the board, we did. Our students did well last year, and we pretty much matched that across the board. A little down on our A star to A's, but our top end grades down to our B's and C's really, really good. So I'm chuffed. They've worked incredibly hard. They knew that was going to be, that they were going to be marked in line with sort of traditional grading systems. So they raised the bar and they've done well.
Sonia, I know you said you've just recently moved over. I think it's a year now. So what would you like to add on there?
Well, it's been a great year here at Ramsey. In my first year on the island as head teacher of Ramsey Grammar School, I came from England, where I was a head teacher for 13 years. The students have been fabulous. The work ethic amongst the group of students, their attitudes, they're such great role models for the rest of the school as well. And of course, we wish all of the students who are leaving us today with these great results all the success for the future. And of course, at Ramsey Grammar, we'll always be here for them anyway, if they do want to pop in, say hello, and let us know how they're getting on, because they'll have great careers ahead of them.
That's head teacher of Ramsey Grammar, Sonia Taylor, and also the head of sixth form, Stuart Curran. We'll have more about the A-level results a little bit later in the programme. 8.5 minutes past 5. A former co-op boss has been fined £2,100 after defrauding another retail outlet. Siobhan Fletcher has the details.
Andrew Ian Courier of Lakeside Road changed the labels on goods and returned a number of worn items at Marks & Spencer. The Douglas man admitted 3 offences of committing fraud by false representation at the retailer on Drumgold Street in Douglas. Douglas Courthouse today heard he returned the items on the 23rd of May 2023 and in January and February this year. During sentencing, Corrie's advocate said his client's actions took place amid several background issues, which caused a great deal of trauma and loss for him. He insisted the 53-year-old's actions may be considered as something of a cry for help. The court heard Courier has since lost his job as the co-op's regional manager and now works in the construction industry. His advocate said the offences were entirely out of character for him, describing them as a series of blunders. Ordering him to pay £200 prosecution costs and £290 in compensation to Marks & Spencer, magistrates described it as a needless offence and clearly one you deeply regret.
Siobhan Fletcher reporting. It's coming up to 5:10. Let's turn our attention to business, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall. And construction companies and those which feed the wider industry are concerned about a slowdown in business. Now, this comes from Construction Isle of Man, which has told us there are worries over the amount of new work coming forward. Chair Gary Proctor says he believes government could do more to help.
The government has always been, through its capital scheme, filling that void in the mid-sized market. Now, without that, and without some continuity there, what we're going to find is that those contractors who traditionally would have operated in that market are likely to be downsizing and chasing the smaller domestic market. But when they do that, when the government does finally release some, or when some of the private sector mid-sized projects come, who's going to be available to do it? And that's the same scenario with the design consultants as well, and the architects, the engineers, the cost consultants. If they let people go because the work isn't there, or they're committed to off-island clients, which some of them are now, the industry isn't going to be able to simply turn the tap on. And it's difficult enough finding qualified and experienced staff on the island, but once you let them go, they can't come back. It isn't all bad news, because there are some reasonable sized projects in the pipeline, but they do have to find their way through the planning process, and of course the risk of the never-ending threat of third-party appeals that just kicks the can down the road and hinders the process. Where the government can play a part in this, though, is that if it wants the industry to do anything other than domestic market, it has to release some capital schemes, not necessarily on the scale previously seen, but enough to keep the industry ticking over until the private sector work comes online. So to answer your question, where can the government help? I think releasing some of the capital schemes to keep the industry ticking over, sort out the process or the period taken to issue the Section 13 legal agreements, and reform the third-party right of appeal, which is something of a peculiarity to the island and doesn't exist anywhere else, but it delays many a project. So two of those things won't cost the government anything.
That is Chair of Construction Isle of Man, Gary Proctor, and we have been in touch with the Isle of Man government for comment. Well, Ramsey Crookall provide us with the stock market report, which tells us that investors shrugged off mixed economic activity data from China and eyed US reports on weekly jobless claims, retail sales and industrial production later today for more insights about the health of the world's largest economy. Meanwhile, official data showed the UK economy expanded again in the second quarter, but the pace of growth moderated slightly due to the contractions in industrial and construction output. US stocks moving sharply higher on upbeat retail sales data extended the upward trend seen over the past several sessions, and stocks have moved sharply higher during trading today. The major averages have all moved to the upside, with the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 moving higher for the sixth consecutive session. Oil prices also traded higher as rate cut optimism helped offset a mixed set of economic activity data from China, and gold prices edged higher as softer US producer and consumer price inflation prints bolstered forecasts for a Fed rate cut next month. And in corporate news, Admiral Group surged to the top of the index as it posted a better than expected 32% rise in half-year pre-tax profits. Well, gold stands up 0.35% at $2,455. Brent stands up 1.66% at $81.30. And the latest from the FTSE 100 up 0.75% at 8,343. The latest from the Dow Jones a short time ago, it was up 1.18% at 40,479. And the Nasdaq up 2.02% at 17,540.
I'm running late again. Do you know where I put my car keys?
In the fridge.
Where's my phone?
Under the dog basket.
Bye.
You haven't forgotten that we're seeing Ramsey Crookall later?
Oh, no, of course not. 5 p.m, is it?
2:45.
I'll be there.
Life is busy. That's why Ramsey Crookall's team takes time to help you make a mindful investment decision, considering all the options, giving you full control of your financial future. Less stress, more assurance.
Forgot to put my shoes on.
Oh.
See how we can make your money work for you. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
So all looking okay down at the airport and the steam packet as well, and nothing major that we know about on the roads. All the usual traffic lights in place where they probably were this morning. Just something to be aware of tomorrow. The race organisers of the Manx Grand Prix are going to be carrying out a test of all the digital flags around the TT course. That's from 7 a.m. tomorrow. And although these flags don't look like traffic lights, as a precaution, road users are advised to be aware that the large square displays which are around the course might be displaying as red or black with letters during this test period, and no action is needed.
Ask how you can spread the cost interest-free at Quayside.
You're listening to Update on Manx Radio. It's just gone 5:15. Media Isle of Man says it remains committed to providing a comprehensive offering to customers following reports of a reduction in courier deliveries around the island. Now, the newspaper, one of the only freely distributed newspapers in the British Isles, is published weekly. Lewis Foster reports.
In recent days, customers have taken to social media with claims the paper would no longer be delivered to their area. We'd seen this from people based in Onchan and in Sulby. They came alongside claims that the paper would only be available upon collection at places like petrol stations, post offices and the sea terminal. So Manx Radio put that to Media Isle of Man. In response, it says simply the company remains committed to providing the public with a comprehensive media offering, relevant to both customers and advertisers. We're confident, it says, that we continue to provide news in the way that our audience wishes to receive it through our ongoing print portfolio, growing digital brands and social platforms. So it hasn't confirmed nor denied whether or not it's changed the distribution model of the Courier.
Thank you very much there, Lewis Foster. Here's something else that has cropped up after a social media post in the past 24 hours, actually. Manx Care is urging those who have concerns or issues with its services to contact them directly instead of taking to social media. Now, the healthcare provider says it can't normally take action on comments that are made on social media, as these do not allow for proper investigation and response. Instead, they're inviting those who have issues to contact the Manx Care Advice and Liaison Service. That number, 642 642, or you can email mcals@gov.im. If you need that email address, it is at manxradio.com. And inpatients are asked to speak to the nurse in charge. Formal complaints, they say, can be made through the Care Quality and Safety Team on 650 500 or manxcarecomplaints@gov.im. 17 minutes past 5. Well, we've been hearing about the students getting their A-level results today, and for some, attention now turns to university. Others may be looking to enter the job market, or maybe even be thinking about having a gap year. Connie, Victoria, Sam and James from Ramsey Grammar School all have different plans, as they explained to Chanel this morning.
Yeah, I just got my results. I mean, it's a little bit lower than I was expecting, but I don't mind because I got into my first choice, so I'm all happy.
I did not get them, so we'll have to see what the future holds.
We're just going to wait for our friends to arrive and then we'll open them together just to see what everyone got.
Yeah, that's the plan as well, yeah.
Where to from now for all of you?
So I'm going to go to Leeds University to study history, which I wasn't particularly expecting because they changed my subject like today, but I'm pretty happy still, so yeah.
Right, and Victoria?
Well, I'm hopefully going to UCM. It might not be to do the course I wanted, but it'll be to do something anyway.
Depending on what my results say, I might finish all my A-levels next year and then I should be going to university, and if not, I'll look into getting into some form of finance job, hopefully.
I think the plan is a gap year and go to Loughborough Uni.
I'm hearing lots of university here. What's the reason behind that? Why do you choose university?
I think it just gives like a lot more options for students. I know that there's so many here on the island, like doing apprenticeships and stuff like that, but I think uni also gives like a different kind of experience to students, you know, a bit more independence, I think, and that's what I like personally.
And Sam and James?
Oh, I'd say getting a uni degree is one of the best experiences you can have. Going away, from what I've heard, you just get to live a whole new lease of life during your best years, and you also come away with the good qualifications.
Yeah, I'd say similar, just sort of opens up lots of jobs, lots of things which you wouldn't be able to do without it.
Would you guys look at the idea of returning back to the island once you're done?
Yeah, I'd possibly consider it, but I think I'm definitely more of like a big city kind of person, so I think I definitely stay in England, just for that reason, really.
Right, and Connie, if I can end with you, what advice do you have for others who'll be entering their final year in a couple of weeks?
I think I just say like, stay calm, and at the end of the day, like, whatever happens like on this piece of paper doesn't define you as a person, you know, but also work as hard as you can, and it is going to be a very, very tough year, but, you know, we all go through it, and there's a lot of support out there with like teachers and other students as well.
Oh, some lovely advice there. That was some of the students from Ramsey Grammar School. Well, University College Isle of Man's hosting an information event on the 2nd of September, which is also going to be open to people who've collected their GCSE results. Lulu Gillow is Head of Student Services.
We are aware that for some, there may be a little bit of disappointment, and we're very keen at UCM to ensure that those who perhaps are a little bit disappointed in their results, haven't got quite as much as the results they quite had hoped for, that they're not left behind. So yes, we have an event on Monday the 2nd of September at our main campus in Homefield Road, where people can come in and chat to all our staff and really kind of start to think maybe about a slightly different plan.
Yeah, there are other options, aren't there? It's not the end of the world if you don't get the results you're looking for.
Absolutely. It might feel like it at the time, mightn't it? I can well remember it's slightly disappointing, my feeling myself in some aspects. You know, there are plenty of other opportunities at college. And as I always say to young people when I meet them in schools, you know, don't panic, because there is always another option. And it might just mean that, as I suggested, you know, you might have to realign your plan and perhaps just build in another year, but you will get to where you want to get eventually.
And which students are you looking for, Lulu? Is it people who just finished their GCSEs or also the A-levels?
Absolutely, anybody. So the A-level results are out, as you probably are aware. GCSE results are out next Thursday on the 22nd. So it is anybody, really. But also, of course, people who perhaps might not have applied to us at all. So generally speaking, we're talking about people who have applied and been given what we call a conditional offer. And if they aren't able to meet those conditions because they haven't quite got the results they require, we'd really be welcome to have a chat with them. But of course, as you suggest, people who perhaps haven't got the quite A-level results that they might need for our HE programmes, or those who just haven't applied and want to do a fresh application, we would welcome to see them as well.
That is Lulu Gillow, Head of Student Services at UCM, and some great options available there for students who are considering what their next step might be. 22 minutes coming up to past 5, and ahead of the 2024 Manx Grand Prix getting underway on Sunday, a new strategy has been put forward aiming to secure the future of the event for at least the next 5 years. So can teams, fans and residents expect any big shake-ups if these proposals go through? John McBride is chair of MGP organisers, the Manx Motorcycle Club.
Not major changes. I mean, it's tweaking, really. I mean, I think we've got a good format and a good formula, but I think it just needs tweaking and just keeping on top of things and making necessary changes to regulations and necessary changes to the event in general to keep it on top. And I think one of the things which we'd like to see is probably a little bit more going on the sidelines, but time, the 3-day format for the event tends to limit that. So, but we'd like to see a little bit more put in perhaps by clubs, you know, and the VMCC, Andrews Racing Association, are running their events during the event. But, you know, should we have any weather disruption, it does kibosh them a little bit. So that it's one of those awful things, really, where we're in a cleft stick situation. You know, if we lengthen the event, we've got nothing because we can't accommodate it through marshalling and medics. And if we run the shorter event, we're struggling for additional entertainment for spectators.
How much have the likes of, say, fans, teams and competitors been consulted on this?
Well, they have been consulted. Particularly the teams more than anything, because a lot of the money comes from the teams, but a lot of competitors have been consulted at random on their thoughts, and quite frankly, they're quite in favour of things. You know, I don't think there's anybody who's come up with any negatives, really. One of the things we want to do at the end of this session, it's 3 years now since we've been running this format, and as a club, we'll want to go out to our competitors, all of our competitors, to see what their thoughts are on the event.
Now, for the last couple of years, it's been running on a 1-week format, effectively. Some people have been sceptical and at times maybe critical. Do you see MGP continuing in its current format for the long run?
I think it probably will, yes. I can't see there being a rapid increase in marshal numbers and medic numbers available. And what stood 3 years ago still stands today, unfortunately.
That is chair of the Manx Motorcycle Club, John McBride. And just remember, the MGP running from this Sunday, that's the 18th of August until the 26th of August. You can find all the details about the qualifying and race schedules, as well as the road closures, at manxradio.com. Well, speaking of sporty things, here's Rob Pritchard. What a introduction that was.
Fast am I. And we're going to stick with the Manx Manx Grand Prix because John McGuinness MBE will lead the way in the reintroduced Classic Junior race at this year's Manx Grand Prix. The top 20 seeded riders for the class have been confirmed, with 23-time TT winner McGuinness to start at number 1 on the 350cc Stedplan Honda K4. There are 2 previous class winners included in the entry this year, which will be Jamie Coward at number 2 and Dominic Herbertson at number 7, with both having secured victory in 2018 and 2019 respectively. Well, in a top 20 dominated by versions of the Honda CB350 machinery, only 3 of the seeded competitors will campaign on different motorcycles. Rob Hodson, setting off at number 5, will be on board a Brian Spooner Kawasaki. James Hind will set off at number 12 on a Wiz Norton Racing DKW, and a Team NZ Velocette will be piloted by Rhys Hardesty at number 18. There are vacant spots in the top 20 at numbers 3 and 6. Well, elsewhere, there's a spot at number 16 for former MGP winner and FIM Classic Bike World Champion Glenn English on his return to the meeting. Separately, he's also due to take part in the Classic Senior MGP race. Well, you can see the Classic Junior MGP Top 20 at manxradio.com. Elsewhere on two wheels, in cycling, Lizzie Holden has helped UAE Team ADQ to a top 20 finish on today's 5th stage of the Tour de France Femme. The Manx competitor's teammate Carlin Svinkels came home in 11th, 28 seconds behind stage winner Blanca Vass. Elsewhere, Becky Story's Team DSM Firmenich Post-NL managed a highest finish today of 15th through Juliette Lebeau. Stage 6 tomorrow will cover 160 kilometres from Rememont to Morteau and will get underway at around 10:30am UK time. And finally, an annual football tournament has once again raised thousands of pounds for an island charity. The 14th Jamie Haslett Memorial Tournament, played in a mixed 5-a-side format, took place at Laxey Football Club on Sunday the 4th of August. It's since been confirmed £3,300 has been raised for Victim Support Isle of Man. The charitable organisation offers free and confidential help to victims and witnesses of crime, as well as their family and friends. Well, the Haslett family has been on record describing the occasion as another amazing day to celebrate Jamie and raise funds for Victim Support Isle of Man.
Thanks very much, Rob. Now, do you know what? It is a different day out there now. You can barely believe it's the same place, but we know the Sir Mark Cavendish lap was supposed to take place today. Obviously, they made such a great call because of the weather forecast. What are the plans tomorrow? Just remind us what's happening.
So tomorrow, the lap of honour for Sir Mark Cavendish will take place at 1pm on the NSC Raceway. And what's more, there is now an invite to children to take part alongside Sir Mark in the lap of honour. Any children wishing to take part are asked to arrive at the NSC Raceway with their bikes on the day by 12:45pm. They must be able to ride their bike on 2 wheels and without stabilisers or balancers, and must also wear a helmet as well. Elsewhere, spectators are being invited to line the NSC Raceway to cheer on Sir Mark and show an appreciation for him and what a glittering career he's had. Spectators are being invited to spectate around the track, as we say, and should arrive at the NSC Raceway from noon and be in place by 12:45. NSC staff will be on hand to advise people on where to spectate from. Officials are also advising parking in and around the NSC will be extremely limited, and people are being encouraged to travel on foot, by bus or by bicycle where possible.
I still want to see you down there on a bike. Can we make it happen?
I only wish. But again, I'll just be embarrassed. It's Sir Mark Cavendish. There's no way I can keep up.
No. Oh, true. You've still got stabilisers, haven't you? Yeah, it's not a good idea. Rob, thank you very much indeed. That is all from Update this evening. Coming up in the next few minutes, it's Shaq Lair with Bob Carswell. Then Chris Kinley will be here live with greatest hits from 6, followed by a little light music with Morris Powell. And then Rianne will be here from 10pm with After Hours. And as ever, if you have got news from us, we'd love to hear from you. It is newsroom@manxradio.com. That's the best email address. I'll be back with you from 5pm tomorrow. Have a lovely evening.